Welcome back again to another episode of DisruptEd. Today, I am privileged, very thankful to receive Kabeen, both a parent and a governor in Citizen School. And that's an angle that I wanted to have a discussion on, because Kabeen, in his capacity as a parent, as well as a governor, and an entrepreneur, could really bring in an angle on what is expected from a parent that is an entrepreneur in an education experience. How does that relate to the kids at home? What do they hope to achieve at the end of the day? And how would they help both the board of a school, so designing an experience, and day-to-day activities with the kids? Kabeen Khadar is a founding parent, actually, at Citizen School. And I would like to start, if you don't mind, Kabeen.
Sure. Thank you, Doctor, for having me here. It's a great honor and pleasure. Thank you.
A bit of background, and then some exposure to your entrepreneurial experiences. I understand that you have multiple ventures.
Yeah.
You have just recently an eDaddy.
Yeah.
I wonder where did that name come from?
I knew that's the question coming in.
A scooters or a electric mobility business.
Correct.
So let's start a bit earlier with your education experience.
Right.
And then how did you get into the lifestyle of the entrepreneurs? And where are you today?
Right. Well, it's an interesting story. We are ethnically Indians. But my father came into Dubai 1975, and he's a chartered accountant. So he started off with a normal job. He got an opportunity, and he entered into the anti-corrosion business for oil and gas, ship repair, shipbuilding. That's his forte. So he ventured into a Dutch collaboration, I think around about 1980. That's how the whole entrepreneurship started for him. So, I mean, like the saying goes, if you can manage the dough, you can manage a big part of the business. And that's how he started his venture. And like I said, if my father did not have probably a business, I think I would probably be a chef or a restaurant owner.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that about you. Okay, yeah, okay, interesting.
Okay, I would have. I'm a foodie.
Okay.
I used to be 120 kilos before.
I don't see.
That was my past. So,
okay.
So we
share that. I was that.
We share it.
I'm not far away from that now.
Absolutely. That's why whenever you get the new products in for food, I ask you questions. It was an interesting journey. So right from childhood, we always used to speak about business. Right from the age of 15, father used to speak about his business, the things that he used to do, that kind of put in a lot of interest in me. And I knew somewhere I had that entrepreneurship skills and you know the gut feeling to take decisions, to see what's right, what's good. And yeah, that's how the whole opportunity started. And you know, again, coming back to food, whenever in dining table, we always used to speak on one thing or another about business. The girls at home used to go mad, but that's another story. So yeah, this is how I think it was evolved. Okay, or nurtured rather. And yeah, I think this is how it was. And you know, she's still very active in the business. So we manage all the business together.
Okay, so you are with him now.
Yes, I'm still with him. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
And then did you what's the story with this electric mobility?
Yeah, well, this was last June. I mean, just a few months back. Again, it was one of his friends who referred a project, and he said, "Kabeen, what do you think about this?" You know, and initially he had his questions, and you know, boys like toys, right? So when like bikes, wow, you know, let's look at it, you know, and that's how it happened. And then I met the team, amazing team. It was a success story in Africa.
Okay.
So the guys, let's say, liquefied their positions in that venture, came to Dubai, bootstrapped the project, became in touch with us through contacts. And I said, let's just go for it, because it's very interesting, because UAE is going through a lot of initiatives in green, net zero carbon 2020, billions of dollars spent on their infrastructure in sustainable, eco-friendly environments in business, conducive and bringing up new startups. And actually, even before we start up, I think it was in August, we received the PNC Best Sustainable Startup Award.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I think all in all, in fact, it was after we signed off, I learned there was a lot of noise about it. It was interesting. A lot of people turned heads. Just hearing electric, eco-friendly, sustainability, non-fossil fuels, all these kind of things. So I think it was definitely a good venture. And we were always into the, boring oil and gas. No one wanted to know what you used to do. So I think it was a good opportunity for us to get into some sort of B2B, B2C segment.
Let me start with the discussion about the education
Sure.
experience. And probably start with you. I mean, a bit of background on your education.
Right.
And then the question would be, how helpful or not was it when you decided to go entrepreneurial?
Right. Again, coming back, every culture gives its importance to education, but the Indian culture, it's quite strong. From the state that I come, we have 99% literacy. It's out of X number of, yeah, absolutely.
That's survival. That's basically.
That's air.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just there, So, in my time, every second person is either an engineer or a doctor. Yeah, so that's how it was. And father always wanted me to be an engineer, but then I always had this shift to go completely into the then called subject, which was commerce. Today, it's entrepreneurship. Okay, so that's how it was. And I did a shift just in the beginning of my secondary school. So I think it was one of the best decisions I did. Okay. I'm very passionate about it. Entrepreneurship, business. I mean, if I drive down, I see something, I start thinking numbers.
Okay,
yeah, that's how.
And you think your education experience actually helped you do that?
Yeah. Yes, and more than the textbook, I think it's the conversations, it's the meet with people. That was a real education. Meeting people, speaking to you as well, doctor. I mean, we've met so many times. There's so many things that I've learned. So I think this is by far one of the best educations a person receives than just, with textbooks. In my times, there was no AI. There was no internet.
Yeah, my PhD would have been quite easier.
Exactly. So it was all about textbooks, and we were glorified Xerox machines.
Yes.
That's how we were.
Yeah, that's true.
And no calculators, everything is, on the fingers, and that's how it was. And so I think the education definitely helped a lot. So I did my schooling from Dubai, Indian high school, all throughout, the 12 years. And after that, I did my bachelor's in AUD.
Okay, interesting.
Funny enough, I was at one of the alumni yesterday at AUD, and I think after my AUD bachelor's in finance and marketing, I took a break. I joined my father's business in 2002. And after 3 to 4 years, I did my MBA from France Subdico.
Okay, fantastic.
So that's how my education panned out. And I think it was a complete change from an Indian education system to an American education system with AUD. It changed quite a bit, the way you think, because it's different. I was literally petrified when the first class was talking about projects you had to do, because this was in 97. So, talking about projects, you have to go out, get some things done with the group, and whereas in our Indian system, it was like, you just need to by heart 120 pages and get the theory right, and there's 200 questions for 2 hours, and you answer it as quick as possible, sheet after sheet, writing. This is how the system was. I mean, and I thought it had its best merits as well. And when you later on go into a different education method, it had its own pros as well. So I think it was a good merge, and it opened up a lot of avenues.
So you actually carry a couple of interesting hats, and I would like to dwell a bit
Sure.
into them. One is you're a parent. You're a parent that is a founding, actually, parent of Citizens, actually, as a school. What is it that you were searching for? What is it that you are searching for in an education experience for your kids? I mean, it has definitely been influenced by your own experience, probably being influenced by your nature as an entrepreneur. So what is it that you expect and hope to find in an education experience that would satisfy what you hope to see in your kids?
Right. I probably will answer it in a different point of view. I wanted a school for my daughter, and I was going around a few places, and it was just, I want to put it's an Indian and an Arabic word called naseeb.
Okay.
It was destined.
Okay.
It was destined.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, and I think I saw it online in one of the social media, and I saved it.
Okay,
for
interesting.
another day, because I didn't hear about Citizens, right?
Okay.
So I went to all the other brands, met principals, met the.
But what were you searching for?
What I was searching for is basically a good education with a twist.
Okay.
I was searching for that.
Yeah.
I didn't want the mundane.
And why did you need a twist?
Because, as I said, I've been through both the education, right? So
Okay.
I had my primary, secondary from the Indian system. Then I had my bachelor's from American, and my master's and more like a European system. So I've seen all these worlds of education. So I understood today's kids have to be geared for the future, and they should be well equipped. Right. They should be trained in a specific way, not for today. They should be tech ready. They should be future ready. Right.
Okay.
The first thing when I came here, and as I was saying, finally I said, let's just go here and have a look. It's a new school, doesn't matter, let's just go. So I came and I did 3 visits. I visited the then principal, and my first question is, if you're going to bombard my kid with a lot of homework, it's not a school for me.
Okay.
That was my first thing. When my kid comes home, it's family time. She plays around. She does, if she likes to, maybe a little bit here and there, revision and all sorts of lessons if she wants. But majority of the learning has to happen in school. That's why I'm sending her.
Okay.
And she should be ready for it.
Okay.
Right? And second, I also felt there was a curriculum in place, but remember I talked about the twist? The twist was when I saw the different pillars like digital literacy, leadership skills, entrepreneurship, blah, blah, blah. This is what attracted me. And I thought, I just felt, it was a gut feeling. I just felt, okay, this is where my kid belongs. And that's how I signed up.
Yeah, and you took a risk in doing so.
Absolutely.
But why would you take a risk?
Coming back to the theory that we did in the Indian secondary,
Okay.
something stuck to me always. The bigger risks you take, the bigger profits.
Okay, interesting.
It's still stuck onto my head. I still clearly remember reading that line from our commerce book.
Okay.
And so higher the risk, higher the profit. So the same way, sometimes you got to take some risks, and I think it's calculated risk.
Okay.
I could have gone with standard. I mean, if you call your friend or peer and ask which school, very unlikely they would say Citizen, because it's just upcoming. It was the first year. No one knows. They would easily go with the easier route, which is XYZ.
Okay.
There's so many schools, and this is the farthest school from my home.
Okay.
25, 30 minutes drive in the morning. I said, no worries. I still want to go for it because I just felt happier coming into the school. I just didn't want to let go of my kid to a school where it is like standard British curriculum, standard SOPs, standard procedures. I just didn't want that.
And you took a step beyond that.
Yeah.
And you assumed actually the role of the parents' representative and governor actually on the board of a school. And that's a responsibility, and it takes a lot of effort. And I would like to ask you, why are you spending the effort actually? Why would you take something, a role that important, whereby you're representing others into a board of a school?
Interesting question.
I really see it very noble, I'll have to say, but I would like to hear it from you. Why would you do that?
Again, I think it's a calling for me.
Okay.
I don't have a particular answer for it, but I think it was a calling. And I still remember there was a form sent out, who wants to be in the PhD, please come sign up, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't sign up. And one day I dropped my kid and I saw this was happening. I walked in. I was not registered. I walked in and I said, I can't remember who it was. There was someone presenting. I said, listen, I'm sorry, I didn't sign up, but I would love to join. Welcome me, sat, and all that. And there were like 15, 20 parents, and we started talking. And I just thought, I need to do something back. I mean, I'm not saying thank you for saying it's noble, but it's not being noble. But I just thought, it's something to give back. And when your kid is there, and I'm passionate about what you have instilled in the ethos of the school, I thought, okay, if there's anything that the parent can serve back, why not? Right? So, I mean, I want to bring an old saying that someone told me. When you educate a man, you educate one man. But when you educate a woman, you educate a society. Okay, but, I mean, I have a daughter, but it's not only that. It's just that education, I think it's a very important role for not only a child, even for the parent. The parent has a responsibility to educate the kid, make him or her future ready, right? So I think it's the way that we choose the education path, because they're kids. You put them onto a school. They don't have a freedom to choose. You choose for them. So you choose the best for them that you feel, with all your given data, gut feeling, intuition, everything, and you just place them into the school. And then when you really love what the school does, you want to give them something back in terms of, some sort of an assistance. Initially, I took on the role as an advisory. Then I've bought in as a governor. I'm very thankful for that as well. And I really spend, and my office, to be honest, hardly sees me now, because most of the time I'm in and out of the school as well. So they're confused.
Thank you very much.
Confused.
Lucky us, yeah, definitely.
So, and I love doing it. And I'm really happy doing it as well. I have to say it's a strain on me, but I love doing it. And I feel it's some sort of give back time. Yeah.
I think the impact that you have, not only on your kid, but on many parents' kids, is something that you are to be thanked for, because I think you are impacting a generation. And I think a lot of people I do know appreciate that very, very much, and the way you're making sure that communication goes both ways definitely helps any education experience be better. Now that you actually have that background, you're a parent, you're a governor in a school, you're an entrepreneur, you are in a family, you're looking at many businesses. What should a school do?
We are halfway or more than halfway already there, I feel. Okay. As I said, again, I want to say the angle of entrepreneurship is there in the school. It's inbuilt with the skeleton of the school. But I think whatever education you do, whatever master's, bachelor's, your primary, secondary, whatever you do, at the end of the day, when you go to the real world, it's about application of 5% of what you studied. I don't think so. It's anything more. So it's molding their thought process. How to do what, when, where, how. This is what I think you mold the kid towards. And I think that's the framework or the incubation that the school has to provide the kid with. So, which means no matter what situation you're in, no matter what you're given on your table or your hands, how do you mold it? How do you bring it to your advantage? Or probably for the institution that you're working for, or for the institution or the entity that you own. I think that's what the school should do to make them ready for it. This is what I think. That's the main purpose of education. Along with that, there's always a lot of other aspects as well. Social responsibility, right? And ethical responsibility towards every, can I say stakeholders? Yes, every stakeholders, family, friends, your colleagues, your peers, mentors, the community, neighbors. So I think this is what I think the school should be built on and thrive to pass this kind of knowledge and experience to the kids. So they know tomorrow how to handle things.
Amazing. I had a discussion actually on a different podcast. In fact, I was talking in Dubai Future Forum about the future of education. Now they were contemplating what could it look like in the year 2100, and I really reflected much on how would the world look like probably to start with before talking about education. So I was talking about how would the world population look like, what the global economy might look like in a world whereby human population is actually declining, unlike what we faced in the last 200 years. And how would it that educational systems have to prepare generations for a very different potential realities than the ones that we have went through. And one statement that I put on was, I believe schools, it will be less about brands and certain curriculums, more so about educational experiences and differentiated educational experiences. And in a different podcast, actually, there was the idea of, like, for example, in here in Citizens, there's the British curriculum as well as the entrepreneurship curriculum, yeah. And there was a different potential educational experience, which is to do with healthcare, and so on and so forth. So the question in here is, what do you think? Would you agree that the future of education would not be brand-oriented more so, or even curriculum-oriented? It would be more about the educational experience that they will go through and what would it prepare them for? And that it could be differentiated across many, many sectors. Healthcare is one, entrepreneurship, probably sports, arts, and stuff like that. And that the training will happen a bit earlier on in their life. Would you agree with this? Do you have any thoughts about this? Do you think this is where things would go?
Right. If I understand your question rightly, I mean, are you talking the way the education would be for kids in the future?
Yes. And would it be more more experience-oriented, or would it be more curriculum brand-oriented?
I think, it's very interesting that you put it in this way. But again, I think what I feel is it will be less of a curriculum, right? A rigid curriculum that we need to cover ABC for this term. And I think rather it will be more of a pull system. Like right now, you have a curriculum, you push it to students, and we're finding innovative, technologically advanced ways to get the kids to learn that. But what I feel is, in the future, I think it will be more of a pull system, wherein the kids, over a certain topic, they can pull education material from wherever. I'm saying a cloud, internet, AI, whatever. Yeah. Maybe an example would be better said here, like you said about healthcare, right? I'm also into a small business called Holograms, IORA. So what we do is we present a 3D modulation of everything, and in a box. Now, I'm just going to put an example there. Let's say healthcare. So today, I think in my time, they used to go to a lab, dissect a rat in a biology lab, and learn about it, right? That's how, and they had maybe some sort of body to do human anatomy. But I think now, if in a class of 30, the kids can probably pull a section of anatomy, maybe it's neuromuscular, so that comes out projected in a hologram or in a holographic presentation right in front of their table. And they can take apart each layer, right, from the tissue, nerves, muscle, right through the bone, and they study that. Rather than the mentor who would be pushing content through in the class with the students. I think this is how probably I see a future of education. It probably may not be in a rigid classroom with people, with students. It would be probably just, in an auditorium, and collaborative learning maybe. Maybe your kid in this class would be learning with my kid somewhere else. Collaborative learning. This could be something very interesting as well in the future. And this is what I think the future would be.
I don't know if you are involved in the co-mentoring program. Are you one of the
yes.
parents?
Due to lack of time, I would be guest mentoring.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not
but what do you think of such an approach?
I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, it's good. As I said, if I just go back to what I said, my biggest learning point was not from textbooks. It was from speaking to people.
Okay.
From all walks of life.
Okay.
Now, I don't know the numbers here, but I would have a strong guess. 70% of the parents are entrepreneurs, business people, SME, LME, whatever, yeah. And imagine you get a parent coming to guest lecture or mentor, let's say the entrepreneurship course, which is what we are doing now. We just had the orientation program last week. So the parents' 20 to 30 years of skill set is literally displayed, and information is passed to the kids. It's impossible to get from textbooks, even ChatGPT. No. It's something that the kids might really value. And I still remember all of my guest lectures from my bachelor's and master's program, all of them.
Okay.
So these are things that kids would never forget. So I think it's a brilliant movement, all right? The kids might just pick up that one thing that the parent in his life has understood, expressed, probably done or not done. And this is going to retain, and it's literally like you have put that kid a mile further into success.
How important do you think it is to expand that education experience? And that, supposing in this scenario is the entrepreneurship experience, how important is that is expanded and extended back home, whereby the parents play a role? How important do you think the role of the parents in instilling these thoughts in it?
It's of paramount importance because, kids are like a sponge, yeah. They're going to grab everything that you do. You are their ultimate model, at home or wherever you go. So if you're going to relay, if you're going to tell them a few things, like how I said, my father used to speak, about his business, about his day, about what he did. So these are experiences that you learn, and you'll never get this experience outside. No one can teach you this. You got to experience it. So if at home they're going to tell you a few examples, okay, this is how you can do that, or probably play, okay, if this were something that you were to sell, what would you do? Right? And they come up with some things, and these kids today are equipped with so much of technology, right? They might even create a logo and branding for you. They may not know the jargons, but they would do something like that, isn't it?
I have the hope and the dream that a number of students before graduating from high school would own shares into companies. I think, and that's a question basically, that could actually probably shift their mentality from taking the world as is, which is graduate from college and try to find a job, into many other possibilities. But then I will have to, and I think all of us, and that probably you are part of the team, we'll have to appeal to the different authorities to allow that to happen, in fact. But what do you think such would do?
I mean, I remember in one of the meetings, Doctor, you said that, and I think it's a brilliant idea. It's a brilliant idea to have some sort of a hub to incubate them, grow them, bootstrap whatever ideas that they have. Not every idea is going to click, right? So you have 700 plus families. I mean, these kids are going to have all sorts of experiences from their parents, from their family, and they're going to bring one way or another idea because we're going to nurture them in that way, isn't it? So if we can have like a hub wherein, like you said, let the government be part of it, issue some sort of a license for them to come up, then you go with all the initiatives, startup initiatives, like the leadership here in this country has given, like startup initiatives. Bring them, we be the makers for both to have a similar agenda. And then, I mean, you have literally accelerated them with a rocket, isn't it? So you've made them ready to go in the wilderness of a business world. So I think it's fantastic, and you have the blessings and the whole parent group community in it. And like you said, one way or another, I'm just throwing an example. It may not make sense now, but have the whole family invest in it, maybe 1 share, 2 share. It's going to be a community business, right? And it's brilliant. It's brilliant. And can you imagine 700 families networks? How would it be? You yourself are a successful businessman. You know how important networks and contacts are, isn't it? So I think these are things that we could definitely do. I mean, there are kids who do not want to probably enter business. They just want to be in some sort of technology, whatever lifestyle. Yeah. Some may want to be an artist. Okay, that's fine. But the kids who want to be entrepreneurship, want to be entrepreneurs, business people, be some part of the business community. I mean, it's definitely a setting stage for them. Definitely.
Amazing.
It's a brilliant idea. I remember you saying it, and I think we are creating a hub here as well for
venture studio for that to happen.
Yeah,
and hopefully the first batch now with 35 parents will kickstart this movement.
Sure.
And I call it a movement because
it's a movement.
I think if it works, and I think we have the right people to make it work. It might not come up perfect, like a lot of things we worked on, but I think we are moving in the right direction. And I think this is what it all needs, is that we move in the right direction, and things will happen as time goes by. I wanted a word of wisdom from you, okay? Because I truly see you as a wise guy, and I love the way you articulate things.
One of the things I think we should really equip our kid is to make them resilient with failures. I think give them that confidence and that warm environment that it's okay to fail. It's okay to make mistakes, right? Even if it's setting up a business, like how, inshallah, we would do, bring them into the hub. Doesn't matter, fail, okay, turn the page. Open a new chapter. It's going to be an expensive lesson, doesn't matter. It's a lesson learned, right? So I think we got to make kids resilient to the failures and the distress that they go through in life. This is, I think, very important. And I think the school is also capable to put that in place. And I think we as parents also at home, we need to nurture them in such a way. They can make mistakes. They can explore things, but don't worry about the backlash. I think this makes them more confident in whatever they do in the future. And if you can start this from a young age, I think it's a no-brainer. These kids will
save them a lot of stress when they grow up.
A lot of stress.
A lot of stuff we went through, yeah. So
Absolutely, like how we went through.
Yes,
We probably
yes, yes.
went through a little bit on the hard way. We shouldn't make mistakes. What would happen if this goes and all that.
Okay.
But then, for sure, I'm a data guy. I always rely on data. But then at the end of the day, it's also the gut, right? You sometimes just take a decision out of your gut, no matter if the data is going left, but you go right. Yeah.
I agree.
So I think this is a very important point, and I feel that the learners, the kids, the children should be brought up in this way.
Amazing. Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Kabir.
much, Dr. Adil.
If people would like to connect with you,
Right.
I mean, what's the best way to do that?
I think LinkedIn. We could share my LinkedIn
I'll
address.
share
That
it.
yes, that's the best.
That's the best way?
It's the best way. My mobile number is also on it. Feel free, no problem.
Amazing. Thank you so much, buddy.